In this tutorial, we will discuss how to create three types of figures: a bar graph, a line graph, and a chart in Word, all conforming to APA style. A figure should enhance the text rather than be redundant with the text. Therefore, make sure that the information you present in the figure is visually interesting. The first type of figure we'll discuss is a bar graph. A bar graph is especially useful for illustrating frequencies and for comparing means. Let's say that we want to present the pre-test and post-test means for three groups in a figure rather than in a table. Begin by going to the Insert menu and selecting Chart. Then select the first Column Chart option. An Excel worksheet will open and a sample figure is inserted into the document. As you make changes to the Excel worksheet, the figure will change. Note that the rows represent points on the x-axis, such as groups or conditions. The columns represent different bars, such as pre-test or post-test. The x-axis is the dependent variable, the score or the frequency. Thus, if we have three groups and 2 time points, we should have 3 rows and 2 columns. Let's label our rows Treatment 1, Treatment 2, and Control. We'll delete the 4th row, and we'll need to drag this bar up. Now let's label the first column Pre-test, and the second column Post-test. We don't need the third column, so again we'll drag this blue line so that it only covers the columns of interest. Now the figure is set up appropriately, so we can enter the means from our data set. Let's assume that the dependent variable is reading achievement scores, with a possible score ranging from 0 to 100. We enter the scores. For each group and for each time point. We can now close the Excel chart and make the figure conform to APA style. First, we need to get rid of the box that surrounds the figure. Left-click in the chart area, and then right-click and select Format Chart Area. Select Border Color and click No Line, and then OK or Close. You'll note that the box has disappeared. Next, we want to remove the horizontal grid line. Left-click on the lines, and then right-click Format Grid Lines. Then select Line Color, and choose Solid Line. The color that you should choose is white. Then close. This will remove the grid lines. If we want to name the y-axis, select the Layout menu at the top, and then Axis Titles. Then choose Primary Vertical Title. Select the Rotated Title option, and then type in the name of the dependent variable or other title of the y-axis. We also want to make the font a sans serif font, such as Arial, at least 9-point or higher. So left-click on the text box and then right-click and choose Font. Adjust the font accordingly. Finally, there may be times when we want to adjust the scale of the y-axis, such as if all of our groups scored above a certain point. We can set the minimum value to a number higher than 0 by right-clicking the y-axis and then selecting Format Axis. In the minimum box, click Fixed and then enter the desired value. In our case, let's say 50. Click OK and note that the scale changes. This can be helpful when the differences between means are small but still significant. You can select the minimum and maximum values to highlight differences better. Let's make all of the font consistent. Again, we'll change the font to Arial, regular, and we'll need to change the font here as well. We can even change the font for these numbers. Now all of our font is completely consistent. The final step is to add a caption. Note that the caption goes below the figure, following the figure name. The figure name should be figure and a number, in italics, with a period at the end. The figure caption should be in sentence case in regular Times New Roman font. Let's call our figure Figure 1, Pre-test and post-test, reading achievement scores for treatment groups 1 and 2 and control group. Italicize the first part and make the entire caption Times New Roman 12-point font. Note that only the first word is capitalized. The only other words that can be capitalized are proper nouns, such as the name of a test. The caption should end at a period. Now let's construct a line graph. Begin a new document. And follow the same basic steps. Begin by inserting a chart. In this case, a line chart with markers. Then use the Excel worksheet to enter data. The rows are the horizontal values, such as time. The columns are groups, subjects, such as in a single subject design with replication, or even measures, as long as the measures are on the same scale. The vertical axis is the frequency or mean of the dependent variable. In our example, we have 4 participants who were observed at 3 time points: baseline, intervention, and maintenance. We can delete the 4th row. The columns are our participants. Participant A, B, C, and we'll need to add a column here, participant D. The dependent variable is the number of completed homework assignments in 1 week. Let's say that all participants began with very few homework assignments completed. During the intervention phase, they increased to some degree, and by the maintenance phase, all of them had increased substantially. This figure nicely illustrates that all 4 participants increased from baseline to intervention and at least remained steady or increased during maintenance. This is a good way of presenting data if there is an insufficient number of participants to do statistical analyses. Note that this figure can be used with a single participant. Simply delete the other columns and make sure that the blue line in the Excel worksheet borders only the cells that have data in them. Be sure to make the figure conform to APA style by following the previous guidelines, removing the border and the grid lines, adding a y-axis title, and adding a caption. The final type of figure is more commonly seen in a qualitative study, a flowchart. Such a figure can illustrate processes or hierarchies. Start a new document. And then, from the Insert menu, select Smart Art. We'll do a hierarchy organization chart for illustration purposes. Note that the default text is much larger than what we want. We'll clean this up later. To illustrate relationships, begin by clicking in a box and entering text in the dialog box that appears, or entering text directly. For example, in a hierarchy of school administration at Excellence College Prep High School, the top level is Superintendent, the next level is Principal, and the next level are a variety of assistant principals. Assistant principal for academics, assistant principal for discipline, and assistant principal for faculty affairs. We can add boxes by first clicking in the Smart Art box and then right-clicking and Show Text pane. After the final bullet point, we should press Enter for a new box to appear, and we can add the text that's relevant. In this case, Assistant Principal for alumni and fundraising. Again, as with all figures, the figure name and caption should be presented at the bottom. In this case, Figure 2 hierarchy of school administration at Excellence College Prep High School. Don't forget to make the entire caption Times New Roman font, 12 point, and to italicize the words figure and 2.